one of the things that I realised going into surgery, or one of the facts that I'd learnt, was the medical world is saying that 50% of us will lose core strength and core stability by the time we're preteen. And all the trainers and all the therapists out there right now, you'll hear everyone talking about core strength, core stability. Pilates has gone through the roof as far as a rehab therapy that people will use to recover. And they're talking about elite athletes now focusing on the core for performance. So if you they're saying if you focus on that core strength, you can increase performance. So for 50% of us to lose that core strength by the time we're preteen, they're also saying another 30% will lose that core strength by the time we're 21. The human body is not designed to be seated for long periods of time, and because of this long periods of sitting, it's affecting our core muscles by making them weak, disengaging them, and causing poor posture. So we're going from a correct, strong position to this. As soon as that core stability goes out, this is what happens. And as soon as that happens, muscle imbalance comes into effect. Other muscles are now having to do the work with the core system that's no longer working, and it's starting to stress them, overload them, shorten them, and our body's one unit. It has a domino effect throughout the body. The way that we strengthen transverse abdominis too, it almost seems silly that it's so obvious, but if you think about squeezing your fist, if I squeeze my fist, you can see that this muscle here in my forearm is going to get bigger. So, but it's a conscious thing. I've got to consciously think, squeeze my fist, and this muscle gets bigger. So after I had surgery, I'm lying flat on my back for about a week, and there's not too many things I can do. But I experimented with just drawing my navel into my spine and just squeezing it and holding it there for as long as I could. So what I'm doing is pulling my waist in by just drawing the navel into the spine and just squeezing. So while I'm holding it there, I'm breathing in and out, pushing the air up into my diaphragm and creating length through the spine. But the recovery after surgery was you were only allowed to walk. So I'd go walking, and if you're in a walk, if you start to walk and you engage your core, when you lift up that leg with the core engaged, you're getting a core workout and you're strengthening transverse. So the longer, I went from thinking about drawing in my navel and engaging that transverse for 20% of the time I was awake, and I built it up to 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, and what I found happening over the period of time was my lower lumbar support was getting better, and I could actually feel the vertebra and the lower part of my spine starting to align themselves and come further up my back until they got to the middle of my back. And then once I felt them in the, getting to the middle of my back, my confidence grew. I knew I was doing something right, so I continued to pursue it. And that's when I started to take that conscious awareness of engaging the core to 60, 70, 80% of the time I'm awake. I'm thinking about drawing in my navel, whether I'm doing housework, whether I'm playing with my son or exercising. No matter what I'm doing, I'm thinking about, or I'm actively engaging that transverse. And what I noticed after a period of time, I went to go see an osteopath who used to treat me prior to my surgery, a couple of years prior to my surgery, and I only went in there for a consultation because I knew he'd seen me at my worst. And he was very surprised to see the improvement in my posture. He tested out my pelvic floor. He said my pelvic floor had returned to strength, and my hip rotation had corrected itself. And I'd had hip rotation problems since I was 18. Therapists have been telling me I had hip rotation, which was causing my lower back pain, or it was making a weak, my back was vulnerable to or susceptible to injury because of this hip rotation. But I haven't, up until today, met someone who was able to tell me how to correct that. But what I found from sticking to the program, sticking to just releasing the muscles out of my body, you know, I just constantly rolled out and rolled out and rolled out, and just got all the tension out of my body and focused on just strengthening that transverse, and I was able to build a foundation that I could then build upon.